Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is April 26th, Wednesday, 2017.
Obama's liar, liar, pants on fire. And so this is actually fantastic news for me because I love when Obama's lies come out full throttle, okay?
Which is like
we
always.
all knew that the Iran deal was awful, and every time anybody said anything about it, they were just shot down. But here's the thing, CNN kind of covered it, but they're so good about covering things, but not covering and spinning
They're the
things.
masters of spin.
And, you know, yeah, it's kind of, they do slaps on the wrist is what they do. You know, let's punish you. No, he needs to go to jail.
Yes.
This man needs to be tried for treason when you aid and abet a known enemy. So Politico, I'm going to get to this punchline. Politico, who's not actually a right-wing leaning news site, now that Obama's out of office, now that the Iran deal's over, it just so happens that these guys that he let go, that he said, oh, they're a big deal, they're just businessmen and they're in jail because they violated some economic sanctions. No, dudes were terrorists. They were in prison trying to get, somebody said don't shout. I'm going to try not to shout. Sorry, I get a little excited. Anyways, we get excited. A lot of these guys were in prison because they were trying to acquire technology to further the nuclear weapon program in Iran. And not only did Obama give them about 1 billion in cash in money, and
But of course it came out of his own pocket.
Of course, the first was 400 million in exchange for the prisoners, and then all went back to 1979 deal. But anyways, I want to get to this first, and then we're going to go backtrack a little bit to that deal. But here we go.
By stuff that's not even yours to get it. Take President Obama's Iran deal when he gave the shirt off his back in hours 2. Politico just published a piece detailing how President Obama sugar-coated the prisoner swap with Iran in order to preserve the nuke deal that he so badly wanted. I know, he's no longer president, but neither is Lincoln, and I just saw a movie on him, so we're going to talk about it. So who did President Obama hand over? Guys who gave Iran materials for missiles, who smuggled assault rifles to Iran, who may have scored for Iran thousands of parts for the uranium centrifuges. And get this, we referred to these guys as businessmen. Maybe so. Using that logic, a serial killer is a businessman too. He's in the business of serial killing. It is funny the White House deceiving us by calling these criminals businessmen. Probably the first time in history a liberal used that label as a compliment. If you're an American businessman, you're a selfish jerk. But if you sell missiles to Iran, you're a go-getter. But legacies aren't just selfish, they're dangerous too. Iran knew what President Obama wanted, which prevented him from striking a tough deal. He was like a poker player whose mirrored sunglasses showed everyone his hand. Maybe that's why having a 70-year-old billionaire as a president isn't such a bad thing. Why does he need a legacy? He's got his name on enough things already.
There's a funny joke at the end there, but it's actually, it's funny and it's not funny. I'm really excited because it's finally coming out. I don't know if this will last like a day or two in the news and then get buried again, but Obama needs to hang his head in shame. He needs to be sitting on a bench somewhere.
Homeless.
Nobody knows who he is.
Penniless.
And just like with his head in his hand saying,
Or just in jail.
I just messed up an entire country, okay, and I messed over the whole world. When President Barack Obama announced the one-time gesture of releasing Iranian-born prisoners who were not charged with terrorism or any violent offenses last year, he is the liar-in-chief. The liar-in-chief. Trump does some stuff. I don't think he purposely tries to lie. He messes things up a lot. But this man is a liar-in-chief. His administration presented the move as a modest trade-off for the greater good of the Iran nuclear agreement. I saw so many leftists like praising this. Yay, yay, video. Iran had a significantly higher number of individuals, of course, at the beginning of this negotiation that they wanted to see released, but we were able to winnow it down to 7 individuals, 6 who are Iranian Americans. But Obama, the senior official, and other administration representatives weren't telling the whole story last January 17th in their highly choreographed rollout of the prisoner swap, simultaneous implementation of the 6-party nuclear deal. Now, we got some dudes, they got some dudes, and it was supposed to be a swap, but then they got some money, a lot of money. So it really wasn't a swap. In his Sunday morning address to the American people, Obama portrayed the 7 men he freed as civilians, and the senior official described them as businessmen convicted of or awaiting trial for mere sanctions-related offenses. In reality, some of them were accused by Obama's own Justice Department of posing threats to our national security. So if you're aiding, abetting the enemy, that's treason. You can be hung for that. 3 allegedly were a part of an illegal procurement network supplying Iran with U.S.-made microelectronics with applications in surface-to-air and cruise missiles like the kind Tehran test-fired recently, violating this great awesomeness. And another was serving an 8-year sentence for conspiring to supply Iran with satellite technology and hardware. As part of the deal, U.S. officials even dropped their demand for $10 million that a jury said the aerospace engineer illegally received from Tehran.
Now, I want to go back to that word allegedly a few sentences ago, because I'm thinking to myself, a lot of people are like, well, it was just alleged. Well, they never got prosecuted because they got sent home.
Right, and in a series of unpublicized court filings, the Justice Department dropped charges and international arrest warrants against 14 other men. There was 14 other guys on the Interpol list can now travel freely throughout the world as part of this deal. Noting in a 152-word statement about the swap that the U.S. also removed any Interpol red notices and dismissed any charges against 14 Iranians for whom it was assessed that extradition requests were unlikely to be successful. 3 of the fugitives allegedly sought to lease Boeing aircraft for an Iranian airline that authorities say had supported Hezbollah. The 4th, Beiruz, I can't pronounce all these last names, was charged with conspiring to buy thousands of U.S.-made assault rifles and illegally import them into Iran.
So the 5th one was charged with smuggling U.S. military antennas to Hong Kong and Singapore for use in Iran, and U.S. authorities also believe he was part of a procurement network providing Iran with high-tech components for an especially deadly type of IED used by Shiite militias to kill hundreds of American troops in Iraq.
Yay! We armed the people to kill our people.
Yay.
Isn't this awesome? Then the biggest fish, Saeed. They have hard names. Just
Keep their names. We'll leave the article and y'all can figure out who the heck they are.
Who had been charged with being part of a conspiracy that from 2005 to 2012 procured thousands of parts with nuclear applications for Iran via China. That included hundreds of U.S.-made sensors for the uranium enrichment centrifuges in Iran, whose progress had prompted the nuclear deal talks in the first place. And then what's really big about this, is that the federal prosecutors, the people who've been pulling these guys in,
when they learned the true extent of these releases, they were shocked and angry.
Okay, and it's just it's unbelievable. And Politico, thank you for doing the truth. I don't know why you're coming out now with the truth, but you did, and I'm happy you did now. But I wanted
Better late than never.
Right.
I guess.
I'm gonna play this one here now.
Politico, hardly a right-wing outfit. An expansive look into the secret deals that showed that we released some terrible people, not 14 businessmen that were caught up in some proliferation, but 14 of the worst Iranian, and in one case, Chinese weapons proliferator and parts distributor than you can imagine. This has been exposed this morning.
The administration hid the fact that some of the men let off were accused of supplying equipment that could actually help Iran build nukes. 3 of them were members of an illegal procurement network. 1 intended to supply Iran with satellite technology. 3 sought to lease Boeing plane for Hezbollah. Now, here's the thing. When the president of the United States, who desperately wanted this deal, even though, you look at it now, it's a dirty deal, he wanted to pass this particular deal and get the Iran deal done. And so when he's describing some of the people released, they sound so
just
honest.
Yeah,
listen.
These individuals were not charged with terrorism or any violent offenses. They're civilians, and the release is a one-time gesture to Iran, given the unique opportunity offered by this moment and the larger circumstances at play.
They were not civilians. They were people who could have helped Iran build nukes, which ultimately is our biggest nightmare.
These were not just like little suicide bombers, people. These are masterminds and people that also have the ability to move large amounts of weapons and to get things done.
So I want to go back to remind you of the money laundering here that happened in this exchange.
Well, of course the Justice Department objected. It was illegal. It isn't only the optics. It isn't only that they are just looking ridiculous in denying that it was a quid pro quo. Obviously, it wasn't a coincidence. The reason that it was objected to by justice, there is a statute that prohibits us from engaging in Iran dealing with dollars. So they had to print the money here, ship it over to Switzerland, turn it into Swiss francs and euros, and ship it over to Iran. If a private company had done this is called money laundering. The CEO would be in jail right now.
Nina, big deal or not?
CEO would be in jail right now.
Getting away from the word leverage, which in basic English, you're saying that you wouldn't give them the $400 million in cash until the prisoners were released, correct?
That's correct.
You would not give Iran the $400 million until the prisoners were released. It was a quid pro quo. And just to make everything a little bit more awesome here, 17 hours ago, reported by WorldNet Daily, Iran caught secretly weaponizing their nukes. Despite the U.S. government collusions to the contrary, Iran is cheating on the 2015 nuclear deal and is actively weaponizing nukes.
Well, of course, because they want to get in on the deal that everybody else is doing, preparing for war.
According to the group who uncovered Iran's most recent nuclear ambitions in the first place, the National Council of Resistance of Iran unveiled intelligence and satellite imagery in recent days that it says is proof of Iranian actions that violate the Joint Comprehensive Plan action. It also alleges that the activity is taking place in areas and facilities that are off limits to regular inspections. And so they're very confident that they are weaponizing these things. So I'm going to put this in another little spin here, because you do see this triangle of Iran, Russia, and Syria, and then kind of China, and then you've got everybody else.
Right.
Pretty much everybody else. And, I don't have any feelings for Iran. I know that they are arming. I know that their missiles literally say death to Israel, and nobody is at no fault here. There's a lot of bad dudes playing with people's lives and a lot of people playing Battleship, and we as resistance chicks and I want you to get on your knees and I want you to pray and I want you to ask God to expose this globalist game of war game. And we've got to stop. We've got to stop the war games. Okay, I see why Russia would be angling itself with Iran, even though Iran is not a big country, right? But you got the United States aligning itself with Saudi and Arabia.
Right.
So you got some players, and I see Russia aligning itself with Iran, and then we're giving missiles and stuff to Saudi Arabia. So we're the pot calling the kettle black. And you got two nations, two giant nations.
America's really good at that.
America and Russia kind of hitting head to head. And all this talk about nuclear war, you got people all over in Japan and China preparing for nuclear war. And then there was another thing where in New Jersey they're doing they did some tests today to how they would respond to a nuclear attack to New Jersey. I don't want to live on the East Coast. I especially don't want to live in New York right now. You could pay me millions of dollars to live there. No way. Not right now, not in this kind of climate. And am I telling people to live in fear? No, I'm not. I'm just asking you to be smart. And if
there's a scripture that says, "Be sober, be vigilant, for your adversary, the devil, walks about or stalks about, seeking whom he may devour."
I'm actually excited because again, we've been doing all kinds of war games for years. I didn't know about it. We didn't talk about it.
Right.
We didn't get up every day and talk about it. And the reason we are now is because we're going to make a change. You and I are the government now, and I'm talking about people all over the globe.
Right.
We are taking back the power. The more we bring these things to you, the more we talk about these things. We can't allow generals, and I hate this, where they say, well, they have intelligence and they know best. No, I'm done. You know, in the American Revolution, men got together and they fought for their country. They fought with their sons. They fought with their brothers. They fought on their own property. They made their own decisions on how they were going to go to war. I'm all about militia.
And so
Okay?
listen, we've gotten to the point where wars are fought like with intelligence, and they're fought on such a big scale. Okay, and so no, I'm not going to just take the intelligence, because the intelligence is corrupt and bought off.
When these generals and the senators and the congressmen are the ones going to war,
Yeah, it's all about money.
that's a whole nother ballgame when your life is on the line. But when they literally see your sons and daughters and husbands and wives and
In the
children
military.
as little tiny pawns. Well, I'm going to send this many troops here. I'm going to send this many troops here. But you know what? That's not the kind of battles that we need to fight. If somebody comes to my land, I will fight.
Right.
Right? I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight as my community. But I'm not going to go, halfway across the globe. Well, what about nuclear war? What about this? What about that? Well, why would they be having nuclear war against us in the first place?
Right.
You know what I mean?
If we hadn't been doing some pretty shady deals.
Why? Let's just concentrate on America first. Pull everybody back. You know what? Stop the global trade. We have enough in America for a second. Let's concentrate on America first for a second. Let's get our country back on track. And because our problem is, when we go to these other countries, we demand things from them, things get a little bit whacked up.
Right.
And I think that we gotta make things change. And all right, Michelle says we have to sum this up.
Only because our battery is dying. I checked it a minute ago. All right, you guys, this is Leah Michelle signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it is not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring that little bell for notifications, and find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We love you, God loves you, and God bless.